Midway Shopping Center for over 35 years. Personally, I've been here since 2007.
And you're known for the best steaks at the beach, period. It also looks like you haven't raised your prices as much as maybe some others have?
No, we have not raised our prices much in the last 15 years. Mainly thank you to George Wells Meat for keeping our steak prices in line. With competitive with others, maybe better.
What are your hours, and do you have any entertainment?
Our hours of operation are Tuesday through Saturday from 4 to 9. We currently don't do any lunch or happy hour. We have a piano player every Thursday through Saturday from 5 to 9, Jeff Irwin.
Thank you so much, Tom. That's 1776 Steakhouse. Make sure to stop by and savor the 1776 experience.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
You're listening to Your News Talk America. First hour every Friday is our traditional radio broadcast, and then we transition into our digital interactive format, where you receive the opportunity, if you so choose, to go on realnewstalk.com and to become a producer of this broadcast. Why should I get all the fun and ask all the questions when you can ask the questions? You're certainly capable of asking questions of our panelists. And coming up just after the news, at the top of the hour, Chris Ruddy, the CEO of Newsmax, will be joining us. And I know that I know many of you, and I'm going to be mentioning this to Chris, feel betrayed by Fox and the Murdochs, and I feel the same as you. I mean, we were part of building what Fox became. They started from nothing, and they built themselves into a powerhouse with us, not with themselves, with us. We made Fox powerful, and then, of course, as you know, all the things that took place have Fox is nothing the way it was. It's as a matter of fact now, I think Fox is no different than mostly the other Marxist state media outlets. Having said that, Newsmax filled the void. There was a vacuum created when Roger Ailes was forced out, and Newsmax filled that void and filled it very nicely. So we'll be talking to Chris Ruddy. That's coming up just after the news at the top of the hour. Now, I want to just get to a question, and I thank one of our producers this morning, Robert from Felton, Delaware, for asking, good morning, Jake. We are seeing a rise in censorship against free speech, and Marxist state media networks are more blatantly transitioning into government mouthpieces. How much longer can we go down this road before it's too late to turn back? Well, the Marxist state media outlets are not going to change. They are being funded and propped up by those that support suppressing free speech. And Judge Napolitano, I thought, touched upon it yesterday. You know, we're told that certain speech is unacceptable, it's hate speech. All speech is free speech. Now, are there exceptions? And the judge brought up an example yesterday that if you threaten to punch someone in the mouth, and it's obvious that you have the wherewithal to do that, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, is that free speech? The judge says absolutely not. So there are exceptions to free speech. You can't say can't scream fire in a movie theater, those kinds of things. But, you know, the hate speech genre that has been used by the maggots in Marxist state media is baloney. Now, yesterday, that Demcom Merrick Garland went after President Trump, and he didn't use President Trump by name, but he said, when you claim that the Department of Justice has politicized, you've crossed the line. Oh, really? Well, if there's one person in this country who should, in fact, be speaking out against the politicization, I've got these braces in it. Sometimes I can't speak certain words. I'm sorry. Politicization, there you go, of the Department of Justice. It's President Trump, and that is his free speech rights, his protections under the Bill of Rights. To say that, well, Merrick Garland says, well, how dare you? You can't do that. And now our free speech is being threatened again. by a George W. Bush era government agency called the Department of Homeland Security. They're totally useless, need to be eliminated in my estimation. And the fact is that DHS is now telling us that we can't protest the election? Try to stop us. And we know, my friends, that the jailing and incarceration of those who did nothing on January 6th, calling them insurrectionists and so forth, we know that it was a message to be sent to us, and they use these Obama judges to do that, that if we try this again, if we raise our voices at what they say, in other words, we win, and then we object, they're coming after us. The National Guard troops are already being lined up to go to the swamp and to prevent us from exercising our right to protest what we disagree with. And if it's the results of an election, so be it. So we're going to talk about that today, my friends. And you heard what I said on the monologue. I don't know what's going to happen. I do know the Demcoms are planning something. Jamie the Rascal Raskin has already said they are going to try to prevent President Trump from being, from his election from being certified under the Electoral College by utilizing the 14th Amendment, which is, as you know, the insurrection is a bunch of crap. They even brought it up. The two maggots from Marxist state media, who are supposed to be debate moderators, brought it up on Tuesday night. Never brought out what President Trump hit the full extent of what he said, and they continue to lie. But in answer to your question, Robert, we do have alternative media available. You are not going to change the propagandists from Marxist state media. They have been programmed for this when they took their college or university classes for broadcast journalism. They have been preparing for this. They have been indoctrinated into this communism. So unfortunately, that's not going to change. What can change are our viewing habits. Do not turn on Fox News if just for a minute. When you do, whatever service you're using, whether it's cable TV, satellite service, whatever, what you're watching gets sent, that message gets sent right back to the company that you're doing business with, and they sell that information. And that network, whatever it is, Fox, MSNBC, they are selling that data, and the amount that they charge for advertising is based on that. I know that I receive callers here on your News Talk America. Jake, I just popped over to MSNBC for a minute. I was just curious as to hear what they were saying. Don't do that. Don't do that. They will cash in on your curiosity. With respect to ABC and what they've done to President Trump, Tuesday night and in the past, where Kamala the Commie has gotten 100% positive stories from someone who hasn't done a cotton-picking thing, who has made this country worse, who has put us all at risk and destabilized this nation. She gets 100% positive stories and reflection and joy from ABC. President Trump gets 93% negative stories. Don't go to Disney. Don't watch ESPN, because when you do, my friends, you are giving them money to continue to wage this civil war against us. Robert, I hope I answered your question. Now, Eric Seaford says, for Chris Ruddy, well, is this for Chris or me? All right, well, we're going to hold that question over to just after the news when Chris Ruddy joins us. Bob in Lewes is on Mukana right now in the chat room, and Bob says, Jake, use the synonym scatless the next time so your words don't get bleeped out. Well, I bleeped that word out. I said it. I wanted you to know what I said, but I can't say it out over the air, Bob. So thank you. I'll try to use scatless at some point in the future. Okay. Let's get to our next phone call of the morning, and welcome in, let's see, Joan. Good morning.
Yes, this is Joan from Milford, Delaware. I have
Good
to
morning.
make sure I say that, Jake.
Yes, thank you.
Listen, and yes, free speech is so precious, and I don't understand people who try to censor people, even if it's hate speech, which I'm very, very careful
Well, Joan,
about saying.
they try to do it because they know they can get away with it. today.
Yes, that's right, Jake.
That's it?
Absolutely
Right.
correct. Now, I have a couple of questions for you. I hope it's not off topic. How many D.C. Republicans are rhinos?
Most of them. Most
Yeah.
of them. Most of them do not want Donald Trump in office. If they are MAGA Republicans, you know that they are MAGA Republicans. If they're Republicans who stand with America first, you know that. They are clear.
Okay.
But they're
I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. I mean, like
All right,
the John Cornyn's of the world, they are not supporting Trump, and they're part of the Uniparty. They do not want Trump back in office.
Well, case in point, beware of Bush-Cheney cabal and all those scum that run around
wait
in the
a minute,
background.
Joan. You mean the Dick Cheney now that the Demcoms love? Remember when they used to call him the warmonger, Darth Vader, and all the nasty stuff they said about Dick Cheney when he was vice president? Now they love that old coot.
Yeah, he had to do with Halliburton, right? We don't want to bring that up now. That's the past,
Yeah,
Jake.
well, and remember the Scooter Libby thing? He was part of that. Right. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and lastly, Donald Trump. If I was Donald Trump, and I finally heard him last night say he doesn't want to debate that person anymore. If I was him, I wouldn't give her the time of day. I'd go about my business, and Trump will eventually win. Yes, Trump has his foibles, just like we do. A lot of people get annoyed. But you know what, Jake? You or I, if we were hogtied the way he was in 4 years in office, I would be mad too.
Joan, let me just—I don't believe that Trump needs to debate. What is there to debate? Everyone who has to vote for Trump already knows that they have to vote for him. They know it every time they go to the grocery store. And now, have you noticed, Joan?
Yes.
The price of gasoline has dropped. I've seen it now, $2.99, under
convenient.
$3 a gallon. I wonder why the price of petrol has suddenly dropped. Do you think there's an election coming up in 52 days, Joan?
Possibly, Jake. I don't know what the answer is. You're right about the prayer. I pray every day for everybody. I get my rosary out, and Our Lady said at the end, all we had was our rosary and a scapular. Not that everybody's Catholic out there, but they understand where I'm coming from. And Donald Trump, once again, if he's meant to get in, he will. And you know what? The chains of evil will be broken someday, and we'll all be marching around and happy. Hopefully, maybe not in this life, Jake.
Joan, please don't say joyful. Please don't say joyful, whatever you do.
Oh, I did. I said it. Oh, my
Joan,
God.
please don't.
30 lashes with a wet noodle, right, Jake?
Don't say joyful. Oh, my gosh. Before we get to Fox News, I just want to play an MSNBC cut. Connecticut Congressman Jim Hines talks about the fact that we are protected now. We are going to be protected on January 25th. January 6th, 2025.
And joining us now, Democratic Congressman Jim Hines from Connecticut. He's the ranking member on the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, good to see you. Know you've been busy this morning and stepped out of a vote. Thank you. DHS designating and counting and certification of the electoral votes at the Capitol this coming January 6th as a national special security event. Just how significant is that?
Well, it's a relief for a lot of us that were stuck in the chamber on January 6th. I was one of them, and that is not something that any of us, certainly not I, want to go through again. So it's good to know. It's good to know that the security failures of that day will not be repeated. What worries me more, Anna, is...
wait a minute. Whoa. Wait a minute. There were security failures on that day? You mean Nancy Pelosi's security failures, not Donald Trump's? But it's okay. They can be protected. But the people in Springfield cannot be protected. Women who are being raped and murdered all over the country don't deserve protection, but they do. And we're going to make sure that you're nowhere near the Capitol because we've said there will be no election protest that day. Think about that today, my friends. You're listening to Your News Talk America. News coming up at the top of the hour.
92.7 WGMD Rehoboth Beach and 98.5 WUSX Seaford, the talk of Delmarva.
Going to two more battleground states. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Former President Trump will rally in Nevada the day after campaigning in Arizona, saying,
because we've done 2 debates and because they were successful, there will be no third debate.
But Vice President Harris said in North Carolina Trump's unfit to be elected again.
And I believe we owe it to the voters to have another debate.
And Fox's Brian Yennis reports.
In their first post-debate campaign stops, Harris and her running mate Tim Walz openly mocked former President Trump's debate performance.
He's in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, where there will be a Harris rally today.
Vice President Kamala Harris has spent more time in Pennsylvania than any other battleground. Polls show is a neck-and-neck tied race.
Boeing's rough year got worse after midnight as the company's airplane manufacturing remains under scrutiny. Some production is now shutting down after 33,000 Boeing workers went on strike in Washington State and Oregon.
I believe that we all want a better future, and in order to have that, we have to have better support in our company. And it goes the same for them. If they want a better future, they got to know that their workers are being supported properly.
They rejected Boeing's offer of a 25% pay raise over 4 years. They want 40% in 3 years, and Boeing to bring back pensions. Britain is calling completely baseless the spying allegations against 6 diplomats Russia has kicked out of the country, right before Britain's prime minister goes to the White House this afternoon discussing Ukraine with President Biden.
Russian President Vladimir Putin warning NATO is at risk of going to war with Russia. That's if Europe and the United States give the okay for Ukraine to attack Russian territory with long-range Western missiles. President Putin says Moscow would view that as direct participation.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. North Korea flexed its military muscle again. The day after tests launching more missiles, it published photos of a secret facility where it enriches uranium. The leaders call for more nuclear bombs to expand their arsenal. America's listening to Fox News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
Jerry Paget, the second enlisted in the U.S. Navy and deployed multiple times to Iraq and Afghanistan until Jerry was catastrophically injured in an improvised explosive device blast. Now, Jerry received a new smart home thanks to our friends at the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Now, the home is in the foundation's Let Us Do Good Village. It's in Florida, and Jerry now lives more independently thanks to the specially adaptive technologies. Commit to $11 a month, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.
Delmarva's home for local news, 92.7 and 98.5 WGMD, the talk of Delmarva.
The news is brought to you by Little Living in Frankfort, Delaware. Affordable, turnkey, fully furnished little homes. Visit yourlittleliving.com.
I'm Bill Robbins in the Talk of Delmarva newsroom. A new ferry will soon make the crossing between Lewes and Cape May. The USDA has awarded the Delaware River and Bay Authority $20 million to replace a 40-year-old diesel engine ship with a much more modern diesel hybrid vessel. The DRBA has been working to transition the ferry fleet to something more eco-friendly. The Delaware State Police have arrested 16-year-old Denzel Maker of Seaford and 20-year-old Timothy O'Hara of Lincoln for murder and related charges following a home invasion that happened in Seaford almost 2 years ago. Police say that on October 11, 2022, troopers responded to the home on West Stein Highway. Investigators say that 5 individuals forced their way in through the back door. Once inside, they pulled out their handguns and went to the victim's bedroom, where he and the female victim were, and demanded an unknown item. The male victim was shot inside the bedroom, and the female victim was shot seated on the chair in the same room. The Queen Anne's County Sheriff's Office has been investigating a recent viral social media post apparently threatening violence at schools. However, the schools listed in the actual post were from Marshall County, West Virginia, and not in Queen Anne's County. The Sheriff's Office has concluded that there is no substantial threat to students in local schools. A member of the Lewes Fire Department is being disciplined for allegedly using a racial slur on the department's radio. That member was found guilty of violating department policy after an internal investigation. The department's member's name is not being released, but he has been placed on 30-day suspension and been removed from office, as well as being required to take a 30-day diversity training course.
WGMD AccuWeather.
Sunshine with some clouds, nice outside, 75 at the beach, 81 inland this afternoon, clear tonight, low 67. Some fog tomorrow morning, then partly sunny, 77 at the beach, 81 inland. More the same on Sunday, partial sunshine, 75 at the beach, 80 degrees inland. For more on these and other stories, visit talkofdelmarva.com.
The next big idea is little. Do you need a place to live? Housing prices got you down? Here is your solution. A turnkey one-bedroom home from $65,999. Perfect for a guest house, in-law suite, office, gym, vacation rentals, and more. Other models available. Come and see for yourself. 35151 Roxana Road, Frankfort, Delaware. Call 302-272-1534 or visit yourlittleliving.com for more information. You dream it and we'll create it.
Listen up, Delmarva anglers. The Talk Delmarva Fishing Report.
Brought to you by Complete Tree Care, licensed and insured. Request an estimate at CompleteTreeCareDE.com.
It's time for the Talk of Delmarva Fishing Report with Eric Burnley.
Correction. Lewes Harbor Marina reported that one more time had a bluefin and a blackfin tuna. It was the don't ask. Thursday was another nice day and more fish were caught. Frank Tucker and Wayne had the best catch fishing out of Indian River Inlet. They had 8 keeper flounder, 3 blues, and 3 sea bass. They used cut ribbon fish and squid. Patty at Captain Bones in Odessa told us croaker have been caught from the fishing pier at Woodland Beach on bloodworms and squid. Steve from Smith Bait in Lipsick reported the jetty at Bowers Beach has seen spot, croaker, and trout taken on bloodworms, peeler crab, and squid. Those who drop crab traps from the area bridges catch some very fat jimmies. Dan at Dan's Tackle says some large croaker have been caught at Oyster Rocks on bloodworms and squid. This is Eric Burnley with your Talk of Delmarva Fishing Report.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
The next big idea is little. Do you need a place to live? Tour a turnkey one-bedroom home this Saturday. Perfect for a guest house, in-law suite, office, gym, vacation rentals, and more. Starting at just $65,999, visit the open house tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for a one-bedroom home tour located at 35151 Roxana Road in Frankfort, Delaware. You dream it, and we'll create it. That's Little Living on Roxana Road. 8 minutes past the hour, your anchorman, Jake Smith, with you for the next 2 hours. It's great to be here, and I'm here broadcasting from Digital Suite 2. I'm getting all my pictures. There we are. Okay, now I can see myself in the monitor. And my friends, first of all, for those of you who have already and started uploading questions last evening onto Mukana for our next guest, I say bully for you. And one of the misconceptions is that if you don't get your questions posted early, that you'll get the opportunity to jump in at the last minute and post questions. And what happens is these questions are weighted. It's kind of, well, for all intents and purposes, first come, first serve. You get your questions uploaded, and we get to those questions with our panelist. So we will be getting to our panelist in just a moment. Let me tell you what's happening for the remainder of this digital interactive version of Your News Talk America. Coming up next is actually a good friend of mine. And for those of you who sometimes wonder how I get such great guests on this program, well, one of the people that has been there for me, helping me book some of the best and most sought-after guests out there, is A.J. Rice. A.J. is the president and CEO of Publicis Public Relations. He's also a very successful author. He wrote a book last year, The Woking Dead, and we had AJ on the program. We actually gave away copies of his book. He's got a new book coming out. It's called The White Privilege Album. Hilarious. And you can pre-order the book now. We're going to get copies from AJ and be giving them away as part of our book giveaway that we do periodically. AJ Rice will be joining us a little bit later on in the program. And then our good friend Jeffrey Lord is going to give his historical perspective based on other presidential debates, what Tuesday night's debate and how does it rate against others in contrast that have happened over the years. As you know, Jeffrey Lord, not only a very successful political strategist, frequent Newsmax contributor, and also he is a presidential historian. And we'd love to have Jeffrey on, and he'll be on with us as he usually is on Fridays, and he will be on Newsmax over the weekend. Now, let me check with Snerdley and find out if we have Chris Ruddy ready to go in the green room, and we'll just wait for the response from the director's chair. While we do have a moment, I want to thank Snerdley and Walt Palmer and Mark Giuliani for all their work to get today's digital interactive broadcast ready. I'm being told in the control room, no Ruddy yet. Okay, well, we're just gonna wait until he comes on board. I received confirmation yesterday afternoon that he would be here, so we'll just wait. So Jim is on the chat room, and Jim says there are still some good people on Fox, like Hannity and Lauren and Laura Ingraham. Does Newsmax have any plans to try to get them over to their station? Well, Jim, they have a number of very long-term Fox people who left who are now on Newsmax, and I am sure that if that opportunity presents itself, I'm sure Chris would consider that. But let's just take a brief respite and wait for Chris Ruddy to sign on. You're listening to Your News Talk America, 92.7, 98.5, and also we're digital interactive. We're on Facebook Live. You can you can check out realnewstalk.com and watch the broadcast. I'm sitting in DS2 right now behind this very golden microphone. So if you can, take a look at what it takes to get this radio program produced every day. Here on Fridays, we show you what it's like, and you also get a chance to see our panelists as well. More of Your News Talk America from DS2 in just a moment.
Here's a look at your Delmarva forecast. Daytime highs approaching 81 today. Under cloudy skies, easterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight, lows around 63. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 81. Highs level off around 80 Sunday under mainly clear skies. 78 Monday. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center along the coast. Currently 74.
Catch Orioles baseball Sunday afternoons on WGMD's 92.7. You're listening to WGMD.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's Your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Imagine a world where animals and humans coexist in harmony, where wild animals thrive, habitats are protected, and marginalized communities are empowered. At International Animal Rescue, this is our vision. Our holistic, community-led projects not only rescue animals, but also protect and replenish precious habitats, creating a better future for us all. But we can't do this without you. Show your support now and help keep the wild, wild. Visit internationalanimalrescue.org.
Do you know a veteran in need? Nation's Finest, through the VA's Supportive Services for Veteran Families program, helps veterans and their families struggling with rent, employment, and other housing-related costs. Today, Nation's Finest operates more than 30 locations in California, Arizona, and Nevada, helping thousands of veterans every year. Visit nationsfinest.org or call 1-833-468-9676. That's 1-833-468-9676.
3
for $5 a mix and match at Arby's. Any 3 sliders, chicken wraps, small fries, and drinks for $5. You can do 2 sliders and fries for $5. 2 sliders and a drink for $5. 2 sliders and a wrap for $5. 3 sliders for $5. 1 slider, fries, and a drink for $5. A different slider, fries, and a drink for $5. A wrap and a drink and a slider for $5. 2 wraps. Arby's. We have the meats.
At participating Arby's for a limited time.
Based on hundreds of 5-star reviews, Gun Shooter Enterprises is proud to be rated by Delaware locals as their favorite gun shop. When you walk through the door at Gun Shooter Enterprises in Millsboro, you'll be met with a knowledgeable staff and respect. Customers love the transparent pricing of new and used inventory, the in-house experienced repair team, and the firearms training classes. Visit them in downtown Millsboro with plenty of free public parking at gunshooter.com or call 302-663-0838.
Hi, Dr. Michelle Parsons here. Here at Rehoboth Medical Spa, we have been treating our patients with a new class of medications for weight loss, including Saxenda, Wegovy, and Mounjaro. All of these prescription medications have been extremely effective at curbing appetite and helping our patients easily lose pounds that they have not been able to lose before at affordable prices. We make it easy for you to lose weight and improve your health. Book your free consultation today at 302-227-1079. Rehoboth Medical Spa, where the doctor is the difference.
Renovate. Views and opinions expressed are those of the hosts, callers, and guests, and not necessarily the staff, management, ownership, advertisers, or sponsors of WGMD.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
I just called the booker who was responsible for booking Chris Ruddy, and she said to me, and she's based on Long Island, that Chris was reminded this morning and should be here. So I don't know what that means, but I'm just going to wait and see how that goes. I don't know what to say, my friends. I get the confirmations, and sometimes people show up, as you know, and sometimes they don't. However, let's take a look at something that Eric posted in the chat room today. And Eric says, Mark Levin is all Fox, has left Newsmax, needs to grab him. Well, if Mark Levin leaves Fox, I think that's what you meant to say. Does Newsmax need to grab him? Oh, yeah, I think that's true. But, again, it's all about money. There were so many people convinced when Tucker Carlson was fired from Fox that Newsmax was going to go out and hire Tucker Carlson, sign a contract with him immediately. The problem is that many of the people that we're talking about, these are top-line conservative talk hosts. And we're talking about Mark Levin and Laura Ingraham and Hannity and the rest of them. They get paid a lot of money. We're talking in the millions of dollars, my friends. I don't make that much. Believe me. I wish I did, but I don't. But that's not why I sit here behind this golden microphone, as you see me sitting here right now. But it takes money. And as you know, Chris Ruddy has been doing quite a few interviews, especially on Newsmax's own network, talking about the IPO that's happening later this year and into next year, which gives ordinary people the opportunity for a very small amount, to become investors in Newsmax. And what that does, it generates a cash flow that could bring those like Laura Ingraham and Tucker Carlson and others to Newsmax. It's all about money. That's what it is. It's all about money. So here we are with, unfortunately, with this situation now where we have a guest that has not shown up, and it happens occasionally. I'm sorry, my friends, but I have no control. So let's continue to go back to the chat room. And Eric says, "You're right, Jake. That's where the stock comes in, and that's where I think that's where Chris is going to try to go toe to toe with Fox, their direct competitor." With the top talent. It's all about cash, needing cash. Now, Eric and Seaford did post a question for Chris, and I'm going to throw this question out there. With George Soros buying small conservative radio stations, buying them up to change the tune, do you feel you'll be able to compete and grow your audience. And that is obviously something that Chris is going to have to answer. But I think, having said at the outset, those of us who have been watching Newsmax have seen more and more people migrating away from the Murdochs and Fox News. And whether it is news last week that James Murdoch, or this week, that James Murdoch, one of the Murdoch boys, has given money to the General Secretary Harris campaign, or whether it's Paul Ryan working behind the scenes to undermine Trump. I mean, there's only so much that he can do, because obviously that Fox can't. They can't reject Trump like they did in 2020. If they do, they'll be signing their own death warrant, in my opinion. Bob and Lewis says Newsmax hired Greta, sadly. Greta, actually, I watched her show a few times this week. Nancy and I did. She did a good job. I thought she had some really good shows, and I thought she was well balanced. But I'm not a big Greta fan, Bob. I have to tell you, too many rhinos and Demcoms on Greta's show. Well, I thought that this week I thought Greta did a great show, and when she was analyzing the debate, she was very clear that ABC was in the tank for General Secretary Harris. So I give credit to Greta with respect to that. She is an attorney. She does from a legal perspective. She's able to talk about a lot of the lawfare cases. But Julianne Murray, the chair of the Delaware Republican Party, was on her show to talk about, and she was one of the attorneys for the Heritage Foundation who were trying to ensure that Hunter Biden would not walk on the case that he was being tried in California, in Delaware, in Wilmington, Delaware. And Greta was not nice to Julianne that day. As a matter of fact, I was outraged by the way Julianne was treated by Greta Van Susteren. Big Cat says, how about Julie Kelly and her husband giving thousands to Dems, and yet people I respect defend her? Who can you trust anymore? Well, I think Julie Kelly is really a very good investigative journalist. Walter Cronkite was one of the best, and I thought did his best not to let his political leanings get in the way, although the special he did on Vietnam obviously was anti-LBJ. But the fact is, Big Cat, that's really the issue. The fact that it used to be if you were in this business, you did not let your personal political leanings affect your work. Well, that's all out the window now. And I think Julie Kelly does good work, but who can you trust anymore? You got to use your instincts. Use your instincts of who you can trust and who you can't trust. And, there are those that right now are considered investigative reporters or investigative journalists, I should say, that have learned the hard way. And maybe more of those will learn the hard way, and they will be able to, that they will see what's going on around them, and their conscience will get the better of them. We can only hope that's the case. Big Cat says, yep, Fox was promoting CNN polls the past 2 days. Yeah, that's true. They still are. But CNN they have been tougher on Kamala the Commie, General Secretary Harris, than they ever have just over the past couple of days. And again, 3M chimes in and says, if I mentioned before, Hannity, Levin, Tucker, what do they do for the cause that does involve getting paid? Well, I can't really answer that question. I'm not a big Hannity fan anymore. I think Hannity gives too many rhinos the opportunity to he gives them too much airtime, such as Lindsey Graham. That's my feelings. And Hannity's become a multi-zillionaire. All the power to him. But the fact is, from a conservative standpoint, and Hannity's morning minute in the morning that you hear on Mike's show, and now it's your cup of Sean. Well, he doesn't even do it. Somebody sits and cuts up his show or one of his shows into 1 minute segments, and that's what they air every day. You know, I sit there and I write a monologue for my show every day. I write a promotional audio announcement that Mike runs on his show every day. I do it. Hannity doesn't do any of that. But that's, I guess that's one of the privileges of earning a lot of money. Big Cat says Julie Kelly donated thousands to people prosecuting the January 6 people she is defending. It just boggles my mind. Again, I don't know, Big Cat, I haven't seen where she has deposited her money and whose accounts. I'm sorry, but I don't know. I'll take a look at that. I know Dan Bongino is a big Julie Kelly fan. You know that. Jim says, Jake, I know you have several Jims calling in from Lewes. I'm in from Milton, and I can just change my call name into Bullet. Okay, that's freedom of speech. That's up to you, Jim. 3M says, Jake, how can CNN and MSNBC stay on the air and pay top dollar for talent with their ratings? Well, because advertisers are buying that product. What they're paying for it is another story. They are being propped up by the ruling junta. There's no question that they are. What you pay, you may sell an advertising contract, but what you pay is based on how many people that are watching. And if you don't have a lot of people watching, and MSNBC doesn't and CNN doesn't, they're not going to make a lot of money from that advertising. Just because that advertising airs doesn't mean it's generating a lot of cash. But I believe both of those networks are being propped up. There's no question that they are. Who's propping them up? George Soros, Klaus Schwab, and others? Yeah, I think that's probably a good bet. The more viewers you have, it's just like the Super Bowl, my friends. The companies, they sign on to purchase Super Bowl advertising. And what they pay is based on how many people are actually watching the Super Bowl. That's what the networks send out the bills. That's what it's based on. Jake and Mark, this is Bob and Lewis. I note your national advertising has increased significantly lately. Awesome. Well, thank you, Bob. Some of that advertising pays for our national shows, such as, the Fox programming, the news, all of that. So Dan Bongino show, the Rob Carson show, some of that advertising is tied in with that. So I am very sorry. I know we heavily promoted Chris Ruddy coming on this program today. I am as disappointed as you are. My apologies. I don't know what to say. Only that he confirmed. I received no less than 4 confirmations that Chris was coming on this morning. 4 of them. The last one was last evening. And lo and behold, guess what? Chris Ruddy's not here. I don't know what to say. And that's the nature of the business. But we will forge on. AJ Rice is going to be coming our way next. How do I know that? Because AJ texted me about 20 minutes ago and said he's already checked in the green room, and that he will be with us. So we will talk further on Your News Talk America. And if you want to log in now, realnewstalk.com, realnewstalk.com. If you want to log on and become a producer, get involved in the chat room. I will certainly be reading those chats throughout this morning as time permits.
Here is the marine forecast from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center. Partly sunny for today with highs heading into the 70s. And on the water, northeast winds around 10 knots, seas 3 to 4 feet. The current water temperature is 72 degrees. At Cambridge, low tide at 7:02 a.m., high tide 12:05 p.m., low tide again at 6:32 p.m. And at Rehoboth Beach, low tide at 9:43 a.m., high tide 4:30 p.m., low tide again at 10:52 p.m.
Welcome to the Delmarva Peninsula, and thanks for listening to 92.7 and 98.5. The Talk of Delmarva.
This WGMD Fox Business Update is brought to you by Sussex Environmental Consultants. For a healthy home, call 302-947-1810.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stocks opened higher as Wall Street wraps up a week of turmoil. Boeing shares opened down about 2% after the Machinists Union voted overwhelmingly to walk out. Wall Street analysts say a prolonged strike of 50 days could cost Boeing up to $3.5 billion and would also impact suppliers and airlines. United Airlines shares are up 2%. It will provide free Wi-Fi on its planes with Elon Musk's Starlink satellites connecting the service. Graphic software giant Adobe reported strong earnings and sales were upbeat, though Wall Street's disappointed with its forecast. Adobe shares opened down more than 8%. And after an upbeat quarter, R8 shares are up 20%. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola, invested in you.
Need life insurance but have diabetes, high blood pressure, or on anxiety meds? If you're a 50-year-old male, even porky, or with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of life insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. For affordable term life insurance, call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. 800-444-2013 or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. 800-444-2013.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of
Delmarva. Well, I don't know what happened to Chris Ruddy. But I will, I'm just going to wait a moment because John Tobacco just sent me a text message as I pop my IFB back in my ear here. John can answer some of these questions. He's not Chris Ruddy, but he works for Chris Ruddy. So if John can log in, we'll see if we can get John Tobacco logged in as a panelist and get him on for just a couple of moments. And again, AJ Rice is going to be joining us. Again, my apologies. I look forward to this as well, and it's a great disappointment. But, you know, this week I've probably had a half a dozen guests not show up as they were supposed to this week. It's unfortunately part of the process. And normally when I'm doing our regular radio show, I will have additional material ready to go. So if somebody doesn't show up, then I still have material to use to produce for the show. That's what I normally do. I had to do it yesterday as well, but that's unfortunately part of the business. Now, as I mentioned earlier, coming up as our next panelist is our good friend AJ Rice. AJ has a new book coming out, and it is called The White Privilege Album. It is a comedy book. And his previous book, The Woking Dead, was a bestseller as well. AJ is the president and CEO of Publius Public Relations. He's the editor-in-chief of the Publius National Post on Substack and the author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, The Woking Dead, How Society's Vogue Virus Destroys Our Culture. AJ is a character, my friends, and he's going to be joining us in just a few minutes. And when he logs on, I'll get a notification from the control room, and we'll bring AJ on. But again, my apologies on the non-appearance of Chris Ruddy. Let's go. I'm told AJ, there he is. I see him now. It's been a while since I've seen him. I think, AJ, the last time I saw you was at Peter Navarro's book launch party in D.C. a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, I think so. Before Peter went to the Pokey.
Yeah.
That was 2 books ago. So, but I guess he wrote another one from jail, so it worked out good. He's got a new one out now.
Yep. How is Peter doing, by the way? I haven't talked to him in about a month. How is he doing?
He's doing good. You know, he's book touring. He's trying to stay out there. He's writing. He's writing for the Washington Times. He's writing for the American Spectator. So, yep. He's an important voice as we, do battle here in the fall for this election.
AJ, for those who do not know, I get comments all the time from my listening family. Jake, how do you get so many wonderful guests? And you get so many fascinating guests. Well, you're one of the reasons, one of the primary reasons that this show has been elevated to a much higher status. You and your public relations firm have been a great help to me in raising the bar here, and I'm always very, very grateful to you and those Drew and Sutton and everyone else who works for you.
Well, I appreciate that. Look, someone's got to do it. A lot of the DC-based PR firms that I haven't put a toe tag on, pretty much threw in with the the Never Trumper crowd,
right?
Which kind of cleared the decks, and it allowed me to gobble up a lot of talent.
Right.
It's not easy being the publicist for the MAGA cinematic universe, but
True.
I mean, it's if you would have told me even 2 years ago, and I've known you now for a while, that I would be the publicist for Naomi Wolf and RFK Jr. and Alan Dershowitz and Tulsi Gabbard, all Democrats, all famous liberals.
Right.
But that's really what the cinematic universe is in MAGA world.
Yep.
It's make America great again, make America healthy again. And I think we're in the majority. That's what scares them. It's funny, Jake, I was thinking about Bobby Kennedy Jr. And I was thinking about what's gone down here in the last couple of weeks.
Right.
With Trump being shot and then pulling Biden and replacing him with this woman that never got any votes. And I was thinking, one of the reasons they kept RFK Jr. from Biden and didn't allow a primary to take place, and didn't allow a debate between RFK Jr. and Biden to take place is RFK Jr. probably would have kneecapped him long ago.
No question.
He would have taken him out long ago. We wouldn't even have gotten to this point.
But just think, Donald Trump, he's constantly hammered by the Democrat communists. But just think about that. Two true traditional Democrats, Tulsi Gabbard and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., are going to be part of a Trump administration, a power-sharing Trump administration that you would never see happening in the Demcom party. And I know Tulsi Gabbard, General Secretary Harris said, well, I'm going to appoint a Republican to my administration. Who's she going to appoint? Crying Adam Kinzinger, for crying out loud?
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. Crying Adam will be, Secretary of Tears. Secretary of Liberal Tears.
I told you he was funny. I warned my listening family and my viewers today that you were a riot, but you are. Go ahead, AJ.
Well, look, maybe Liz Cheney,
maybe Dick Cheney. They love him now. They love Dick Cheney now.
Look, I mean, once upon a time, the left would have rather injected themselves with AIDS than to go up in front of a national audience and say, I have the support of Dick and Liz Cheney. I have the support of 250 ex-McCain bragging about this. So, if I'm Trump, I would rather roll with Tulsi and RFK Jr. and Elon, who, Trump has kind of converted Elon too. Those three, in particular, those three conversions could be the key to victory because they represent large swaths that, yes, they overlap a little bit with, the MAGA cinematic universe for sure. And they're definitely members of it. But I will tell you, they have giant influence. So if we're fighting, totalitarianism, if we're fighting, the abduction of the language, as I talk about in the White Privilege album, and I talked about in The Walking Dead, we need all different types of liberty warriors in the foxhole with us.
No question about it, AJ.
Right?
No question about it. I want to get to one question that's in our Mukana board for you, and then we have to take a break. It is from Robert in Felton, Delaware, and he asks you, how can Donald Trump go about dismantling or reforming portions of the deep state, such as mainstream media, that don't have a direct connection to the federal government. Well, I think one way we can do is cut off funding for NPR and public TV, who are no friends of the First Amendment or the United States Constitution. What do you say, AJ?
Well, I mean, if he's talking about the media, the FCC commissioners can definitely oversee some of that. I mean, they can sort of crack down on some of that. Obviously, we do that, the left's going to go crazy, right?
Right.
You can defund a lot of things like NPR and PBS. You could stop government, I mean, the government advertises. Sometimes it's the military. Sometimes it was the stupid vaccine PSAs. They advertise on CNN and MSNBC and some of these things. So you can sort of redirect money for sure.
That's a great point. That is a great point. A Republican Congress is supposed to control what? The checkbook, right?
That's right. That's right. But look, we don't want to be seen. Look, I've always said that more speech is good. It's better speech. So I like having the dummies on the air at CNN. I like having the dummies on the air at MSNBC, right? It's a target-rich environment for this show and for all my clients. They don't put any of our people on. They would never put me. They would never put me on. I'm like Darth Vader to them. So
I thought Dick Cheney was. Oh, you're the new Darth
not
Vader.
Not anymore. No.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I could be Darth Publius. How about that?
I like that. Let's get to this next question, and then we'll take a break. A.J. Rice is joining us, and his new book, The White Privilege Album. I just read that behind your shoulder there because you've got all copies of your book behind your shoulder, which we're going to be giving away copies of your book in one of our upcoming book giveaways. Next question, and this is from Bob in Lewes, Delaware. Can you recommend a software product for would-be authors to use to write their dream books? My father self-published back in 1994 a book on the Montfort Point Marines in World War II with a 50% grant from Annenberg Foundation using publishing software. What say you, AJ?
Well, okay, that's interesting. So, I mean, I wrote both of my books just using Microsoft Word. Obviously you have to have human editors are good. Human editors are good. There's a lot of different places out there. They call them vanity publishers that can help you. There's a little bit of a fee. It could range from $1,000 to $10,000. But, there's so many authors now. With all the problems that Amazon does have,
right?
I will say that it has allowed for all kinds of people that
no question.
The corporate publishing houses would never take to print to get their voices out there.
No question about it.
And some of them become huge hits. I mean, I've got two clients that have been on this show quite a bit, Jared Knott and Gregory Wrightstone. They have sold thousands and thousands of their books, and they're self-publishing guys.
Gregory Wrightstone is a riot, by the way. All you got to do is bring up climate change, and he is a riot. Oh, man. You know what? We do have time for one more question before we take a break, and this is from one of our viewers and producers, 3M, who asks, with conservative talk radio, Hillsdale, PragerU, we have all of these and more to combat the left-wing drive-by media. But are we making headway in gaining more people to our side? That's a very interesting and good question, 3M. What say you, AJ?
I think so. I think don't underestimate the power of Elon Musk taking over Twitter and changing its name and getting all the CIA agents and ex-FBI agents out of the boardroom because they were apparently under, hipster Jack. They used to own the place. I mean, they were running the show. They were interacting with the government. It was like an appendage of the government.
No question about it.
So I think if you look at the young people that are migrating towards Trump this time around and the different ethnic groups, they're obviously not watching CNN. They're getting their information through Instagram or TikTok or Rumble, places like that. And I think the more we play on their go into their arena,
right,
and set up shop
on their turf,
right. I mean, look, I think I sent it to you. I created a hip hop song to go with the new book. The book doesn't just look like an album, right? And it's not just called the White Privilege Album.
Right.
We actually created a song, and it's by a fairly famous underground battle rapper in New York. that has worked with the Wu-Tang Clan and all kinds of other people. So I'm following I'm following Andrew Breitbart's advice, and I'm taking it to the left. I'm taking it to them.
We are talking with my good friend A.J. Rice, and one of these days he's promised to come up to the peninsula. He's down in the D.C. area, and come in and sit with me in studio for a day. But the author,
I'm all about it, man. I'm all about it.
One of these days,
I want to do a station event.
Okay,
I'll sign books.
All right, well, we will do that. The White Privilege Album is his latest book. His previous book, The Woking Dead. We'll be talking more with our good friend A.J. Rice. He's going to preview the book for us. It's in. You can actually pre-order it now, and we'll be back with more on your News Talk America Digital Interactive this morning. Back with more in just a moment.
Here's a look at your Delmarva forecast. Daytime highs approaching 81 today. Under cloudy skies, easterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight, lows around 63. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 81. Highs level off around 80 Sunday under mainly clear skies. 78 Monday. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center along the coast. Currently 74.
The best mix of news, talk, and sports. 92.7 and 98.5. The Talk of Delmarva. Mike Bradley mornings on WGMD. News on the hour on WGMD.
Broadcasting from the Lincicome Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Dive into a sea of flavor at the Surfing Crab Restaurant, where they've proudly served the best steamed crabs on Delmarva for 2 decades. Open Wednesday through Friday at 3 p.m., 12 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. Indulgent crabs by the dozen, or order an all-you-can-eat feast, including hush puppies, French fries, and homemade coleslaw. Located on Route 1 Lewes, call for pricing and availability and to pre-order crabs before they sell out. 302-644-4448. The Surfing Crab, where every day is a celebration.
Based on hundreds of 5-star reviews, Gun Shooter Enterprises is proud to be rated by Delaware locals as their favorite gun shop. When you walk through the door at Gun Shooter Enterprises in Millsboro, you'll be met with a knowledgeable staff and respect. Customers love the transparent pricing of new and used inventory, the in-house experienced repair team, and the firearms training classes. Visit them in downtown Millsboro with plenty of free public parking at gunshooter.com or call 302-663-0838.
This is Dan the Medicare Man. Planning on retiring or turning 65 this year? Don't make a mistake that could stay with you for your lifetime. Call 302-503-7013 for your free Medicare plan review.
From wind turbines off the Delmarva coast to the gun debate in Dover to the blueprint for Maryland's future in Annapolis, Mike Bradley has you locally covered with all you need to know. Weekday mornings 5 to 9 here on 92.7 and 98.5 WGMD.
Broadcasting from the Lincicome Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
The sequel to A.J. Rice's last book, The Walking Dead, is now in pre-order stage. The White Privilege album, bringing racial harmony to very fine people on both sides. Now, you remember when we were talking about what was going on in Gaza, the old plugster Joe Biden said the same thing. Of course, he hasn't been hammered the way President Trump was hammered for the way that comment on Charlottesville was taken out of context, right, AJ?
That's right. No, it wasn't just, it was the Jew hunters in the streets. Columbia University going on, world famous hunt of the Semites. I mean, it's an amazing thing. They are all for that. The squad loves it. The Jihad Squad on Capitol Hill. If you are hunting down any type of pro-Israeli, to them the word Zionist is no different than Nazi. So, Biden and Harris have both kind of said that when it comes to anti-Semitism, there's very fine people on both sides. Now, no, Charlottesville, your audience knows that statement, and it came up again, Kamala brought it up in the debate.
She did.
Right. And it's been debunked. It's been debunked by everyone, not just right-wingers, but, Bill Maher and Michael Rappaport and Snopes, which is this, Soros-funded, fact-checking organization. They've all debunked this, but they keep saying it. And they keep saying it because it is kind of the foundational lie of the Trump is a racist hoax. And there's a bunch of hoaxes. There's the very fine people hoax. There's the George Floyd was the greatest African-American who ever lived hoax. There's the losers and suckers. There's the bloodbath. There's going to be a bloodbath if I don't win.
Right.
There's the
Project
2025. Trump does it. Trump's not in favor of IVF. I mean, they've got these flashcards and they read off of them from the Marxist song sheet that gets put together by the mainstream media and the $1 million, K Street Stalinists that they hire to concoct this stuff. So look, we're having fun, obviously, with the subtitle of the book. We are here, though, Jay.
Yes, we are.
We are here to bring racial harmony.
Yes, absolutely.
And the book is dedicated to the very fine people, and you know who you are.
AJ, I have to ask you, now, you became a dad, about a year? Was it a year or two ago? I remember one.
He's 2.5 now.
Okay. Yeah. Have you changed in your thinking as to where the future of this country has gone since you became a dad?
Well, no, you know what it does? Well, no. I mean, I'm Irish Catholic from Philadelphia, so, we're fatalists by nature, right? Anytime the Eagles are in a game or the Phillies are in the playoffs, believe me, we're waiting for Atlantis to sink into the sea and sink into the Schuylkill River any minute. But what it does is it helps you put things into perspective. For me, it made me more of a culture warrior, not less.
That's what I was asking. Sure,
yeah,
interesting.
I think so. And you step your game. Look, there's plenty of deadbeat moms and deadbeat dads. I mean, they don't change. They don't step their game up. They're out there. They probably don't listen to this station, but I will say it allows you to understand almost the macro view of the preciousness of life, and also understand that we don't get a lot of time here. So you need to make the most of it.
That's right. Now, my wife texted me and said, why aren't you suggesting that AJ's new book be the perfect holiday gift?
Well,
thank you, honey.
Look, the holidays are coming.
Yes, they are.
If you've got a blue-haired niece or nephew that hates the country and is trying to decide which of the 75 genders they want to be, I'm telling you, the White Privilege album is the gift for them. It is the gift for them. Now, you could get. Yeah. You also, let me just say, the paperback of The Walking Dead just came out.
Oh, did it really?
You could get Volume 1 and Volume 2, and you can horrify all of your friends and neighbors on behalf of the very fine people. Because let me just say this. There is nothing better, and I write the way I talk, so when you read the book, there's nothing better than perfectly timed derision. There's nothing better than it. All right?
Yep.
So,
and we just found out yesterday that the New York City Council is moving forward with slavery reparations in New York City. Now, when my family came over, emigrated to New York City in the 1800s, they were Irish Catholics from Northern Ireland, actually. When they came over, there were certain things they could not do. They were being, well, let's put it this way. They were significantly discriminated against. So where are the reparations for my family then?
The understatement of the century. You know, my mother's maiden name was O'Neill. You know, when those Catholics from Northern Ireland got here, they had less rights than some freed black slaves in 1885, right?
They couldn't get a government job. They couldn't get a government job. Most companies wouldn't hire them, so they were laborers. They were they helped to dig the subways. They did a lot of hard labor, but they were discriminated against as any group. Irish Catholics in New York City.
Sure.
Where's the reparations for them, AJ?
Absolutely. No reparations for them. Catholics have been discriminated against quite a bit. You know, we eventually got into the civil service there and became all the cops and firefighters. Then we started protecting the Italians when they started showing up, and the rest of the 20th century is history. But I'll tell you, everyone's got a slave story. I mean, there are millions of Americans, millions of British that are descendant from sailors that, when slavery was banned, both by England because of Wilberforce and by the United States because of Lincoln, risked their lives and died, ending slavery on the high seas. And if you fast forward to today, they're not being compensated. So look, New York State, it's so funny. California did this too. Both of these states, I mean, if you want to get into the minutia of it, both of these states were union states. They were on the side of the union. They were not slave states. So I guess New York City is going to take money from people that never owned slaves. Even in 1860, they didn't own slaves. And they're going to give the money to people that never were slaves.
It boggles the mind, AJ, but this is where our attention is being focused. Not the fact that there are hundreds of thousands of illegals in New York City, perhaps more, who are going to who are continually driving down the quality of life in the 5 boroughs of New York City. That's not being discussed by the New York City Council. Only that slave reparations are going to be offered. Where they're going to write a check. I guess Gavin Newsom decided last week in California that they couldn't afford that in the People's Republic.
Right. I mean, look, these things will be challenged, and some judge will throw it out. But if you do live in California and New York, and you haven't fled to redder pastures.
I did.
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing is, trying to afford life in some of these places is akin to economic slavery for sure. So, you know, you do have a right to vote with your feet, and if you don't want to pay the piper there, the left-wing piper, you got to go.
President Reagan said that if you don't like it, you can get in your car or your horse or wherever you want to and leave. Go live in another state. AJ, thank you very much. AJ Rice, President and CEO of Publius PR, Editor-in-Chief of the Publius National Post on Substack, and author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, The Woking Dead. His new book, obviously, The White Privilege Album, is going to be given out as part of our book giveaway. We'll let you know when that happens. I asked AJ if he would help us out in giving and awarding those books to the winners. I will arrange that with you in the near future, sir. God bless you, and thank you for everything you do to helping to raise the bar of this program.
Hey, you're a patriot. You know, we love you here. Keep fighting, brother.
All right, AJ, thanks, and have a good weekend. I'll talk to you soon. You're listening to Your News Talk America. Hour number 3 of our digital interactive broadcast coming up. Not AJ, but Jeffrey Lord is coming up. Jeffrey's going to talk about the historical significance of what was Tuesday's debate in Philadelphia.
Bradley and the WGMD Morning Team, 5 to 9 a.m. Delmarva Live, hosted by Jake Smith, 9 a.m. till noon. Live and local, exclusively here on the Talk of Delmarva, 92.7 and 98.5 WGMD. Radio station of the White Marlin Open, WGMD Rehoboth Beach, Ocean City, and WUSX Seaford, Salisbury. News, talk, and sports.
He'll soon do what he criticizes his rival for not doing. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Former President Trump will hold a news conference in California. Vice President Harris has not held any of those since replacing President Biden as the Democratic candidate.
A news conference, perhaps a way to try to turn the page on some of the headlines he got this week from that debate performance. One of the recent headlines is that he will not be participating in another debate.
Fox's Aisha Hasni in Rancho Palos Verdes, California.
This is home to some of the richest political donors out there, and this is where the former president is fundraising. He did yesterday, and he will today as well. Harris got a big bump after that debate,
raising $47 million since, and the vice president wants another debate. She'll campaign again today in Pennsylvania after two rallies in another state considered a toss-up, North Carolina.
Donald Trump is not fit to be president of the United States and should never again occupy our nation's highest office.
Well, after his California news conference, there will be a Trump rally in Nevada where
the Nevada GOP and former President Trump's campaign allege the state of Nevada registered at least 4,000 non-U.S. citizens to vote automatically when they receive their state-issued driver licenses, and that they may have voted in the 2020 election. They're both suing the state, claiming there may now be more than 11,000 registered voters in Nevada who should be disqualified due to being non-citizens.
Fox's Evan Brown. 33,000 Boeing workers are on strike, walking off the job after midnight, shutting down airplane production in Oregon and Washington State.
Hey, we deserve more. We are doing the job that is required of us, and we need to be compensated fairly.
Justin Timberlake's doing a courtroom any minute on New York's Long Island. 3 months after the pop star was arrested for drunk driving, they expected Timberlake will plead guilty to a lesser charge. America's listening to Fox News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
NYPD officer Jonathan Diller's tragic story made national headlines this year. Now, Jonathan was shot and killed by a career criminal during a traffic stop. Jonathan, who's just 31 years old, leaves behind his wife Stephanie and 1-year-old son Ryan. Now, nothing will ever replace the loss of a husband and a father, but the Tunnel to Towers Foundation was able to pay off the mortgage on the Diller family's home. Please commit to $11 a month. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org for the Tunnel to Towers.
Delmarva's home for local news, 92.7 and 98.5 WGMD, the Talk of Delmarva.
This WGMD News Report is locally brought to you by the Cottage Cafe. Open daily at 11 a.m. Find the menu, specials, and fun event details at cottagecafe.com.
I'm Jerry Latham in the Talk of Delmarva newsroom. A member of the Lewes Fire Department has been suspended after an investigation into the use of a racial slur on the department's radio. The department says the member will be suspended for 30 days and also be removed from office and required to take diversity training. The department's board of directors say they have zero tolerance for discrimination and will work for mandatory diversity training for all members. They also say they hold members to a high professional standard to maintain public trust. 2 people, one of them a teenager, have been charged in connection with the 2022 home invasion murder. Troopers say 16-year-old Denzel Maker and 20-year-old Timothy O'Hara of Lincoln were part of a group of 5 people who stormed into a home on West Stein Avenue and shot 2 people inside in October of 2022. One of those people shot died. And from Seaford facing drug charges after police say they found him asleep in a vehicle at the Chandler Heights apartment complex. Officers say they warned Jonathan Dugazon, but came back later and found Dugazon still there, still asleep. They say a police canine alerted them to 46 packets of heroin, crack cocaine, and suspected drug proceeds inside the vehicle. Dugazan was arrested and is being held on $6,000 bail. Pamlico County School District wants input about planned borderlines for its elementary schools. The district says boundaries could ease overcrowding by balancing enrollment. They'll have several public information sessions about the issue. First two will be next Thursday at 4 p.m. at Wecompco High, followed by another meeting at 6 p.m. at West Salisbury Elementary.
WGMD AccuWeather.
We'll see some sunshine this afternoon, 76 at the beach, 81 inland. Mainly clear tonight. It will be humid with areas of late-night fog, 67 for the low. Areas of fog tomorrow morning, humid, otherwise partly sunny, 75 at the beach, 81 inland. Sunday, same thing, areas of fog in the morning, otherwise partly sunny and breezy, high 75 at the beach. We'll get to 80 inland. More of these and other stories, visit talkofdelmarva.com.
The Cottage Cafe in Bethany Beach is open every day at 11 a.m., serving delicious lunch and dinner at affordable prices. Stop in for our daily happy hour offered every day in the pub until 6 p.m. Happy hour offerings include great drink specials and some of the cottage's favorites at a discounted price, like their dune fries and fiery fingers. Select sandwiches, steamed shrimp, and other appetizers also on the happy hour menu every day until 6 p.m. Stop in at the Cottage Cafe and enjoy daily happy hour.
It's time for the 92.7 and 98.5 Talk of Delmarva Sports Report.
Hey, good morning to the NFL. Week number 2 kicked off last night with Thursday Night Football. Fox News Radio has a recap.
Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa exited the third quarter of Buffalo's 31-10 win over Miami with a concussion. On a fourth down scramble deep in Buffalo's territory, Tagovailoa lowered his shoulder to initiate contact with Bills safety DeMar Hamlin and also appeared to hit the back of his head on the turf. He was able to walk off the field, but he was immediately taken to the locker room before quickly being ruled out. Tua has a scary history with concussions, suffering at least 2 concussions in 2022. Bills running back James Cook had 3 touchdowns on the night, 1 receiving and 2 rushing. Joe Morgan, Fox News.
To college football, no top 25 teams in action last night, but I thought I would let you know about this one, though. South Alabama, the Jags defeated the Northwestern State Demons 87-10. Quite a score in that one. High school football action last night, a battle of Sussex and Caroline counties doing battle in Federalsburg, and Delmar bringing home bragging rights for Sussex County. Delmar over Carter Richardson, 33-19. Delmar 2-1 on the season. Carter Richardson drops to 1-1. Woodbridge victorious over Glasgow. Final score in that one, 49-14. To Major League Baseball yesterday, the Orioles, the Phillies, the Mets, and the Pirates all had the day off. The Nationals were in action. They fell to the Miami Marlins by a score of 6-3. The Nats out hit 8-6 and committed 3 errors in the game. The Nats, though, took a 3-0 lead in the first inning of this one. However, the Marlins got within a run in the third inning, scoring a couple of runs. Then in the 8th, they would tie it up and then add to their lead of 5-3, or take the lead of 5-3, I should say. Then they added to their lead with another run in the 9th inning. They would go in for the victory. Derek Law got the loss of relief for the Nats, giving up 3 runs, 2 earned on 3 hits in an inning. Starting pitcher Mitchell Parker had a good outing and certainly kept his team in the game. 6 in the third innings, gave up 3 hits, 2 runs, but neither was earned. No walks and 5 strikeouts. The Yankees were victorious over the Boston Red Sox 2-1 in 10 innings, as the Yankees now have a 2-game lead over the Orioles as they sit atop the American League East Division. Mike Bradley, 92.7 and 98.5 WGMD Sports.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
The next big idea is little. Do you need a place to live? Tour a turnkey 1-bedroom home this Saturday. Perfect for a guest house. In-law suite, office gym, vacation rentals, and more. Starting at just $65,999. Visit the open house tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for a 1-bedroom home tour located at 35151 Roxana Road in Frankford, Delaware. You dream it, and we'll create it. That's Little Living on Roxana Road. listening to your News Talk America. Hour 3 is underway, and my friends, I have an answer as to why Chris Ruddy was not one of our panelists this morning, and it was, it was good news for Newsmax. There has been a legal decision with respect to the Smartmatic case. If you go back and remember that Smartmatic sued Fox News for defamation and Dominion voting systems, and actually the Smartmatic case still is going on with Fox, but Dominion cost Fox a lot of money, and there was a case that Smartmatic sued Newsmax, and let me see if I can just pull it up. And this is happening as we speak. And what happened moments before Chris was supposed to come on with us, his attorneys called him and needed him on the phone immediately. And this, obviously was because of the decision. And again, I'm going to pull this up on my Newsmax app. Here it is. And it's been on the crawl. I've been seeing it pass by all morning long and wondering. And let me see if it's on here. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to go to newsmax.com. And I don't see it listed here. It is on the Newsmax crawl. So what has taken place is that there's been a here it is. I got it right here. So I'm going to read this to you. This is why Chris Ruddy was not on with us this morning. Newsmax did not target Smartmatic, details criminal allegations, Venezuelan ties. A lawsuit pending an electronic voting machine manufacturer that was targeted by allies of former President Donald Trump against a conservative news outlet that aired accusations of vote manipulation in the 2020 election appears headed to trial following a Delaware judge's ruling on Thursday. Florida-based Smartmatic is suing Newsmax, claiming the cable network's hosts and guests made false and defamatory statements after the election, implying that Smartmatic participated in rigging the results and that its software was used to switch votes. Now, Smartmatic is also the voting machines that are used here in Delaware, in the first state where I am speaking to you right now. Newsmax is also based in Florida, argues that it was simply reporting on serious and trustworthy allegations being made by Trump and his supporters, including former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani and conservative attorney Sidney Powell. Attorneys for both sides asked Superior Court Judge Eric Davis to rule in their favor without holding a trial, which is scheduled to start September 30th. On Thursday, Davis granted partial summary judgment to each side, but said a jury must decide several key issues, including statements regarding Smartmatic software or voting machines altering the results of the election are factually false, wrote Davis, who noted that Smartmatic did not provide any election machines or software used in the 2020 election outside of Los Angeles. However, the judge said that not every allegedly defamatory statement published by Newsmax, including statements about Smartmatic's ties to Venezuela and its late president Hugo Chavez, have been shown to be materially false. Therefore, the court will allow Newsmax to contest falsity as to Smartmatic's connections with Venezuela, he wrote. In court papers, Newsmax has described Smartmatic as a struggling election technology company with a checkered history that is using a legally baseless and unconstitutional theory of liability to try and obtain a massive windfall. Last month, a federal grand jury in Florida indicted 3 current and former executives of Smartmatic, we've covered that story here, in a scheme to pay more than $1 million in bribes to those in the government in the Philippines to put Smartmatic voting machines in the Philippines. So there you have it. That's why Chris Ruddy was not with us today. And someone who is closely associated with Newsmax, a frequent contributor to Newsmax, joins us now, Jeffrey Lord. Jeffrey, Chris Ruddy was supposed to be on with us in the first hour and was a no-show, which I was kind of surprised. But it turns out that this Smartmatic case, his lawyers had to get him involved in a meeting about this case that's actually a Superior Court case here in Delaware that apparently it's, well, let's put it this way. It was a good decision for Newsmax, and we'll see what happens. But that's why Chris Ruddy never showed up today. That is true. Now, I had some audio prepared for you this morning, and let me get to that audio because here it is. I labeled it Jeffrey Lord's intro. Does that sound appropriate to you? All right, here it is, Jeffrey.
Tonight, I'm going to give you the key takeaways from the debate. First, ABC's moderators were essentially acting as Kamala Harris's debate coaches. Time and again, they served up softballs with zero follow-ups.
Vice President Harris, you call climate change an existential threat. What would you do to fight climate change?
A really quick response here, Vice President Harris, on this notion of weaponization of the Justice Department. One of your campaign's top lawyers responded saying, we won't let Donald Trump intimidate us. We won't let him suppress the vote. Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
You're great. Do you agree you're great?
Jeffrey Lord is joining us, former advisor to President Ronald Reagan, contributing editor to the American Spectator. He's a frequent contributor to Newsmax, author, political strategist, and historian, and host of the podcast, The Word of the Lord, available on Apple Podcasts. Jeffrey, I was going to get that in there today, come hell or high water, and I got it in.
So if I'm an ABC moderator, it goes like this. Vice President Harris, do chocolate chip cookies have chocolate in them?
Jeffrey, I didn't think, and I have to be honest with you, I know that many uniparty Republicans, rhinos if you want to call them, they were falling on their swords for the past 2 days. I didn't think that President Trump did poorly. I thought he did pretty well. As a matter of fact, he did not lose any voter support at all, and every focus group out there that we've heard about, majority of those in the focus group went for who? President Trump.
I think he did a great job.
I do too.
Yeah, you know, the problem with these debates in general is people put these things under microanalysis, and that's generally not the way they are watched. And I well recall I was involved in the Reagan-Bush reelection campaign in 1984, and there are a couple of things I learned. First of all, President Reagan didn't do quite so well in the first debate with Walter Mondale.
Right.
So there was all this pressure, you know, is he too old? Is this going to be a problem, et cetera? So Mrs. Reagan was upset because she felt that the staff had coached him with, you know, factoids, you know, this number, that number, et cetera, et cetera. And she said, that's not the way he works. So they changed the thing to sort of accommodate the way he goes about things. And when he had the second debate, they said, well, they're going to come after you because they're saying you're too old for the job. Well, you know, what are you going to do? He says, don't worry. I know what I'm going to say. So
and boy, did he. Boy, did he.
The moderator says, you know, after the first debate, you thought you were too old, and President Kennedy had to spend all kinds of long nights in the Cuban Missile Crisis, et cetera, et cetera. Well, you could just see on his face the twinkle in his eye, the slight grin. He was ready. And
yes,
so when the question finally is finished and comes to him, he says, I am not going to make age an issue in this campaign. I will not, for political purposes, make my opponent's youth and inexperience and age. Well, everybody burst out laughing, and the camera was such that it caught Walter Mondale laughing.
Oh, man.
Boom. That was it. The debate was over. But,
Bob Beckel, who was running the campaign for Walter Mondale, when he was on the Five, he was on the Five for several years. He said he was backstage when Reagan made that comment. He said, oh, no, we've lost the election.
That's it. Exactly. And, you know, there's one other thing I learned in all of this, because I was on the sort of senior staff in the Reagan-Bush campaign. I was invited to Philadelphia to see the debate between then Vice President Bush and Congresswoman Geraldine Ferraro, who was Mondale's running mate. So I go, and they put me, you know, 2 or 3 rows back from the stage. I got a close-up view of both candidates, could hear them. And I thought that across is very strong, and Geraldine Ferraro had a sort of a a very soft voice. I just didn't think it was very good at all. I got out of the debate situation and started watching the reviews on television, and they all thought Bush had gotten clobbered. What that said to me was, don't ever go to a debate again in person. Sit at home and watch it on television so that you can see what the entire country is seeing. Otherwise, you're going to get a distorted view because you're there in person. So there was some thought that I would go to Philadelphia for this. I said, no, thank you.
You thought better of it, huh, Jeffrey?
Yeah.
You know, we got to get to a break, and I've got a bunch of questions from our producers for you. But I was watching Roger Stone. I was reading Roger Stone's review of the movie Reagan. He and his wife a couple of nights ago went out, and he said toward the end of the movie, the both of them started sobbing because it just touched them so much. You said the same thing last Friday, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I was weepy-eyed. There's no question about it. You know, if you were there and you worked for him, and Roger and I worked together in the Reagan re-election campaign,
right?
And Roger was a real stalwart. The memories of this that brought forth by this movie are just incredible. The movie was very, very well done. And, you know, as I think I probably said to you, you know, it's one thing for an actor to invent a fictional character and you can go anywhere with this. It's another thing entirely for an actor to take on the role of one of the most famous people on the globe. It could be Ronald Reagan in this case. You know, earlier this year, it was an Elvis movie. I mean, too many people know, you know, what they look like, what they sound like, how they move, etc. Dennis Quaid did a superb job in this film.
Did he capture Reagan's fatherly love for this nation? Because Reagan he was a father to this nation. That's what he had. Did Quaid, did he capture that? Do you know?
Yes. Yeah. I think he did. And Reagan was very fatherly. I remember, and maybe I've said this to you, but I took my parents in to see him in the Oval Office.
Yeah.
And, you know, he does the bit that basically it's he and me winning the Cold War. and then that, well, let's do a family picture. So we do the family picture, and then we thank him, and my parents go out, and I turned around and said, thank you, Mr. President. He says, did I do all right? Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you did.
Did you go to the funeral at the Reagan Library in California, Jeffrey?
No, I went to the Washington end of it. They had to split it, so I had to choose. And since I'd worked for him in Washington, I thought that was the place for me to be. So, you know, a lot of my colleagues were there, and so it was very, very poignant. And the service, you know, I'm old enough to remember watching JFK's funeral on television. And one of the things was in the JFK funeral was Blackjack, who was this jet black stallion horse with the stirrups and the boots reversed, which is the sign of a fallen warrior. And they had the boots reversed, and they were his boots in Reagan's case. They had them reversed in the stirrups. So it was very poignant. And, you know, just seeing the thousands and thousands of people lining the streets of Washington, it was amazing.
I miss him.
Yes.
You know, I miss him, Jeffrey.
Too. Well, I'm privileged to have been there, and I sit here with pictures of him all over the place.
Yeah, there's one right behind your shoulder, right there. There he is, waving.
That picture is interesting in the sense that for presidents, any president, there's an office of the White House photographer,
right,
and there's a staff of people who take pictures all day long
for historical means,
purposes.
Right? Yeah.
So in the Reagan days, the lead photographer would take these pictures, and then he would get them blown up, put them in these plastic frames that look like wood. There's no glass on the frame, and hang it up on a wall in the West Wing, and the West Wing would be filled with these things. If you were privileged, as I was, to work on the White House staff, and you had access, you were entitled to lift it off. If you saw one you like, lift it off the wall, sign your name on the back, and then the photographer would decide who amongst the signees got the picture. That one that I got, and it's President Reagan on his way out to the helicopter on the South Lawn and giving a wave and all of that kind of thing.
I mean, that picture just captures the essence of him, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
For those watching
Absolutely.
at home that or in your office, that really is quintessential Reagan right there.
So, but I have some others here. I'm looking at one over here of the taken that day of the president, my mother and father, and myself, and I have others where I'm introducing them individually. You know, Mom, this is or Mr. President, this is my mother. Mr. President, this is my dad.
Hello.
Yes. It was great stuff.
Jeffrey, we have to take just a quick break, but we'll be back to talk more with our good friend Jeffrey Lord. How did this debate on Tuesday night compare historically with others that Jeffrey has watched and studied? We'll ask him that question in just a moment on the digital interactive version of Your News Talk America. Please stay with us.
Here's a look at your Delmarva forecast. Daytime highs approaching 81 today. Under cloudy skies, easterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight, lows around 63. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Tomorrow, high temperatures reach up to 81. Highs level off around 80 Sunday under mainly clear skies. 78 Monday. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center along the coast. Right now, 73.
92.7 and 98.5 WGMD, where the news comes first. Get the WGMD app online today. Jake Smith, mid-mornings on WGMD.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Views and opinions expressed are those of the hosts, callers, and guests, and not necessarily the staff, management, ownership, advertisers, or sponsors of WGMD.
Imagine a world where animals and humans coexist in harmony, where wild animals thrive, habitats are protected, and marginalized communities are empowered. At International Animal Rescue, this is our vision. Our holistic, community-led projects not only rescue animals, but also protect and replenish precious habitats, creating a better future for us all. But we can't do this without you. Show your support now and help keep the wild, wild. Visit internationalanimalrescue.org.
Do you know a veteran in need? Nation's Finest, through the VA's Supportive Services for Veteran Families program, helps veterans and their families struggling with rent, employment, and other housing-related costs. Today, Nation's Finest operates more than 30 locations in California, Arizona, and Nevada, helping thousands of veterans every year. Visit nationsfinest.org or call 1-833-468-9676. That's 1-833-468-9676.
Hello, this is Evangelist Rick Bridenbaugh inviting you to listen to the Gospel Defender Ministries Sunday morning at 8:30 on 92.7 and 98.5 WGMD.
Fall is right around the corner, and here at Sandy Hill Greenhouses, we are stocked to enhance your festive fall garden. Hi, it's Maria. You'll fall into savings when you purchase our locally grown, happier, healthier plants.
No tricks, only garden treats. Visit us on Sand Hill Road in Georgetown or call us at 302-856-2412.
Drive a little further and go home with a lot more.
Tune in this Saturday at 8:30 a.m. to listen to our featured Ask the Expert guest from Pam Health. With 3 locations in Delaware, Dover, Milford, and Georgetown. Learn all about what the Pamely has to offer this Saturday at 8:30 a.m.
The Worcester County Chamber of Commerce in Ocean Pines invites Eastern Shore Middle School students to test their civics knowledge and compete for the national title in the 2025 National Civics Bee. Students in 6th, 7th, and 8th grades from public, private, charter, and homeschool are invited to take part in the first round civics essay competition. The Worcester County Chamber of Commerce in Ocean Pines will host the local competition in the spring of 2025. The application to enter opens this fall. For more information, go to the community calendar under the Extras tab at thetalkofdelmarva.com.
The Wendy Bell Show, Sunday, noon to 3 on 98.5, The Talk of Delmarva.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
The digital interactive version of your News Talk America. It's Friday, Jeffrey. I know you're probably still working all weekend, but it's Friday. Boy, it's sometimes at the end of the week you just pooped, especially in this news cycle. Let's get right to some questions that have been uploaded for you specifically on our Mulcana board. Jeffrey, Robert in Felton asked the following question. Many Republicans think we shouldn't appear on biased left-wing media anymore, but many Democrats refuse to speak outside of their bubble. You're not going to see them on Newsmax or Fox. It's true. Could we see a potential stalemate in the future where there are no more presidential debates? Jeffrey, I think what happened to President Trump on Tuesday night is a perfect opportunity to put a halt to presidential debates, and we didn't have them. There was no Nixon-McGovern debates. Those debates just didn't exist. They didn't happen back then. Do we risk going back to that time period?
Well, I think the caveat for Republicans from now on is don't be afraid to talk back to them. Just to let them have the run of the mill on all of this sort of stuff is not very good. And I think that is a lesson here for Republicans. Now, then you get to the question of should we bother doing them at all? These debates didn't happen until 1960.
Right.
And they happened because of television. And this was the first time, 1960 was the first time where television had an audience, just in general.
Right.
And so it was the Kennedy-Nixon debates were a big deal. And boy, were there lessons to be learned from that. The classic lesson. And I always laugh when I finally got to college and was a government major. My government professor, every year for the incoming class, government class,
right,
would run the first 15 minutes of the Kennedy-Nixon debate as Americans of the day heard it on radio with no visuals. Then he'd start over and run the whole thing from start to finish with what they actually saw in television. And what they saw, for those who were not around, most of America had black and white television sets in the day. And John F. Kennedy, no dummy he, was wearing a dark suit. He had made a point of getting a tan. He used television makeup.
Yep.
He looked like a movie star.
Yep.
Nixon, on the other hand, refused makeup.
Correct.
Wore a gray suit which blended into the background instead of making him stand out. And just because he physiologically had a dark complexion, he refused.
Yeah, 5 o'clock shadow. He had a 5 o'clock shadow.
5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah, and it showed up on camera pretty badly.
And it showed up on camera. And the bottom line was everybody who heard it on radio thought Nixon won, and everybody who saw it on television
thought Kennedy won.
Kennedy won.
Jeffrey, that is just such an amazing story, but it's true. Kennedy obviously was the darling of the Hollywood crowd, and they had to have given him advice. Don't refuse the makeup. Nixon had the opportunity. He could have taken the makeup, but he refused it. Kennedy didn't. Yeah, go ahead.
The upshot of this is, of course, Nixon runs for president 8 years later. Dark suit, took the makeup. He had learned his lesson.
Yeah, the hard way, sadly.
There were no debates, but what he did, he came up with something called the man in the arena, in which he would come out and no podium and just stand there and take questions from the audience. And it was great. It was a big hit. He had really, really learned how to master television.
And then Spiro Agnew went before the microphones and talked about the neighboring nabobs or something like that. You remember that? Remember that, Jeffrey?
Thanks to Pat Buchanan, who I think wrote the speech, the nattering nabobs of negativism.
Yeah, and that's them.
he really took on the media. And I think ever since, the media has been dealing with this as an issue.
Jeffrey, last question from one of our producers, Bob in Lewes, Delaware, asks, why isn't the Trump campaign just compiling all the lies that the Harris-Walz campaign is issuing, fact-checking it, and using that as their campaign ads? Every word out of Kamala and Tampon Tim's mouths are lies, lies, lies. Well, Bob, I'm gonna take a poke at that before Jeffrey does, because here is my phone, and I'm going to show you. Okay, there it is. See the list of all those messages? Those are all rapid response replies from the debate the other night. There has to be 100 of them that the Trump campaign, every time she said something, they fact-checked her. They do it all the time. So you can actually go on and subscribe to it on the Trump campaign website. But Jeffrey, go ahead. What about holding them accountable? I think their ads, the Trump campaign ads, do hold her accountable. What say you, sir?
Yeah, I think so. You know, one of the problems with these debates is everybody, for obvious reasons, tends to focus on them. They zero in on them to the exclusion of other things,
right,
and not realizing that this too shall pass. And, you know, other news comes along just by the sheerest of chance. The day after this debate was the 23rd anniversary of 9/11.
Right.
The debate was mostly nowhere to be seen in the media because, for obvious reasons, the media was focusing on 9/11 and replaying
the anniversary. That's
videos
right.
from the day and the live ceremonies in New York and in Pennsylvania and all of this sort of thing. And I thought it was very interesting in the New York ceremony. There in the front row were Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, Rudy Giuliani, Joe Biden.
Michael Bloomberg standing next to Donald Trump.
Yes. It was an amazing thing to see, and I thought it was very well done on all their collective parts.
It was. Jeffrey, do you have anything booked on Newsmax this weekend?
Yes, I have something booked. I think it's at 7:35 or 7:05 in the morning, and then I think I'm on again in the afternoon and around 2 something.
Breakfast with Jeffrey Lord. Breakfast with the Lord.
Exactly.
Jeffrey, thank you so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on Fridays and talking to us. Your perspective is so important for us to hear. And I get great comments from our listening family all the time of how much they enjoy listening and on Fridays watching you.
Great. Well, thank you. Keep watching. You know, seriously, we got a few weeks to go, and then everything will stop dead in its tracks. So just buckle in.
I'm not sure it will. I mean, look at the DHS. They're going to punish people for protesting. I'm not sure it's going to stop dead in its tracks on November 5th. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, relatively speaking, it will. And, you know, I always tell the Tom Eagleton story. George McGovern's running mate.
Yeah.
He was picked for vice president, young, up-and-coming senator from Missouri.
Right.
And then they found out that in his previous elections, when the election hoo-ha stopped, he got so depressed he had to have shock therapy.
Right.
And McGovern wound up tossing him off the ticket because of that.
Yep.
So
Sergeant Shriver was the replacement. Sergeant John F. Kennedy's brother-in-law.
You know, there's all this commotion and then stops cold and it's on to turkey.
Right. Jeffrey, God bless. Thanks. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You're listening to Your News Talk America. More of our program coming your way. Salute the troops as well. Please stay with us.
Here is the marine forecast from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center. Partly sunny for today with highs heading into the 70s. And on the water, northeast winds around 10 knots, seas 3 to 4 feet. The current water temperature is 72 degrees. At Cambridge, low tide at 7:02 a.m., high tide 12:05 p.m., low tide again at 6:32 p.m. And at Rehoboth Beach, low tide at 9:43 a.m., high tide 4:30 p.m., low tide again at 10:52 p.m.
Hi, this is the Rehoboth Foodie. Join me on Saturday afternoons from 2 to 4 on WGMD 92.7, the talk, or rather the food, of Delmarva.
This WGMD Fox Business Update is brought to you by Sussex Environmental Consultants. For a healthy home, call 302-947-1810.
I'm Susan Lee, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The Dow is gaining despite being dragged down by the strike at Boeing. Boeing shares are down 2%. Consumer sentiment, as measured by the University of Michigan, has turned more optimistic. The mid-September reading improved to 69. Also, inflation expectations for the next year reduced to 2.7%, though those responding expect in years to come inflation will drift higher. Uber shares are up 6 6%. Waymo, the self-driving car unit of Google's parent company Alphabet, will offer self-driving cars on the Uber app in Austin and Atlanta next year. Waymo won't operate its own app in those cities. Uber says riders in Austin and Atlanta might be matched to a Waymo driverless taxi, even if they don't request one. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda, invested in you.
Need life insurance but have diabetes, high blood pressure, or on anxiety meds? If you're a 50-year-old male, even porky, or with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of life insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. For affordable term life insurance, call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013, 800-444-2013, or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. 800-444-2013.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Here's a look at your Delmarva forecast. Daytime highs approaching 81 today. Under cloudy skies, easterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight, lows around 63. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 81. Highs level off around 80 Sunday under mainly clear skies. 78 Monday. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center along the coast. Right now, 73.
Where Delmarva comes to talk, 92.7 and 98.5 WGMD. You're listening to WGMD, Delmarva's Choice, WGMD.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Hey, it's Mike Bradley, and I'm here with Mark Fry of Chagrin Gas, another Delmarva's business. Mark, Chagrin Gas has been family-owned and operated since 1932. Wow, that speaks volumes. You guys only seem to be growing and enhancing your services offered. Chagrin Gas is more than just your average propane company, right?
Yes, Mike. Chagrin Gas offers a variety of products and services throughout our area, from propane delivery to heating and air, installation and service. We are more than just your average propane company. If you are in the market for a new gas fireplace, we got you covered. Looking for a standby generator? We got you covered. How about cleaning up your water quality? We do that too.
Mark, fill us in on your new expanded showroom in the Midway Shopping Center.
Our showroom expansion is allowing us to show more of how we can assist the homeowner with their next home project. Over 20 live burn gas fireplace displays, live burn state-of-the-art Lennox and Mitsubishi heating and air equipment, tankless water heater displays, Generac generator display, and a variety of gas grills for your outdoor grilling needs.
That's Chagrin Gas and other Delmarva's business. 302-644-7700.
What are you doing this Sunday night? Not much? That's right, it's me, Bill Cunningham, the Great American. Join me every Sunday night at 10 p.m. Eastern for Live on Sunday Night with yours truly as I talk politics and real issues impacting great Americans like you, me, and the American people. It's the Great American, Bill Cunningham. Don't forget to tune in every Sunday night at 10 p.m. Eastern for Live on Sunday Night with yours truly right here on this great radio station.
Live with Bill Cunningham, Sunday night at 10 on 92.7 WGMD, the Talk of Delmarva.
Over the last month, there have been changes to our Sussex County roads. If you're returning for a short stay or the whole summer, you'll likely find road work ongoing in some areas, even at the beaches, as well as new 3- and 4-way stops, new traffic signals, and traffic circles that appear where you least expect them. If you don't want to tackle the traffic, the beach bus is in service and the park and rides are available. Please obey the posted speed limits and please watch out for the other guy. Have a safe and enjoyable summer. From 92.7 to 98.5, the Talk of Delmarva.
If you can't find your favorite Talk of Delmarva shows on the WGMD app, here's a tip. Download the WGMD app from the Apple Store or Google Play on your smartphone. Open the app and click on the red box on the upper left of the screen to reveal a pull-down menu. Click on Other Stations, then click on 92.7 or 98.5. Then enjoy your favorite shows from the Talk of Delmarva.
Ron Ananian is the car doctor, and he learned his craft from his father. He'll help you find the best treatment for your car's little hiccups. And the big ones, too. Saturdays, 6 to 8 p.m. on the Talk of Delmarva, 92.7 WGMD.
Salute the Troops is safely brought to you by your local gun tender.
Stuart Jones at Delmarva Law Enforcement Supply.
Salute the Troops would like to remember 2 Marines who were supporting Operation Inherent Resolve who died March 8th, 2020. The 2 Marines were identified as Gunnery Sergeant Diego D. Pongo, 34, of Simi Valley, California, and Captain Moises A. Navas, 34, of Germantown, Maryland. Both soldiers were assigned to the 2nd Marine Raider Battalion, Marine Forces Special Operations Command, out of Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Pongo joined the Corps in 2004 as a 0311 rifleman. In 08, he completed Scout Sniper Basic Course and was a sniper team leader when he deployed to Afghanistan with the 1st Battalion, 5th Marines. He became a Marine Raider in 2011, where he completed deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. Pongo's personal awards include a Bronze Star Medal with Combat Distinguishing Device, a Purple Heart, 2 Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medals, the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal, 2 Combat Action Ribbons, the Army Valorous Unit Award, 4 Good Conduct Medals, 2 Humanitarian Service Medals, the National Defense Service Medal, the Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, and 4 Sea Service Deployment Ribbons. Navas became a Marine Raider in 2016, where he spent the last 4 years as a team commander and company executive officer. Navas had recently been selected for promotion to Major. His personal awards included a Purple Heart, the Joint Service Commendation Medal, the Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal, the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal, Combat Action Ribbon, 2 Good Conduct Medals, and the Military Outstanding Volunteer Service Medal, the Humanitarian Service Medal, the National Defense Service Medal, the Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, and 4 Sea Service Deployment Ribbons. Both Marines were working with Iraqi special operators in a large operation to clear out ISIS outposts in the southern Makmur Mountains in Iraq. The fighting was so intense and the region so remote, it took coalition forces 6 hours to recover the bodies of the 2 Marines. The military estimated that between 17 and 19 ISIS fighters were killed in the operation. The 2 Marines were part of Operation Inherent Resolve, a multinational operation started in 2014, tasked with defeating ISIS in Iraq and Syria. Salute to Troops honors the ultimate sacrifice of U.S. Marines Gunnery Sergeant Diego Pongo and Captain Moises Navas. For without their ultimate sacrifice on behalf of freedom in Iraq, this nation could not. This nation would never have remained free. May a grateful nation never forget Sergeant Diego D. Pongo and Captain Moises A. Navas. For Salute to Troops, I'm Jake Smith.
Delmarva Law Enforcement Supply welcomes all, not just law enforcement. Visit and sit with Stuart to find the perfect custom firearm, ammo, apparel, gun safes, hunting gear, accessories, or to browse and find the perfect WeatherTech gear. Serving and saluting Delmarva for almost 2 decades. You can find them on Iron Branch Road in Dagsboro. Open Monday through Saturday. Just look for the banner that says Guns. Support your local gun tender today.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
The Friday digital interactive version of your News Talk America continues. Let's go to the chat room and see what you have to say. Bob and Lewis says, Jake, great answer about the cell phone feedback. Yes, the Trump campaign, they respond in real time when she says something. Like yesterday, she went to North Carolina and had a phony Southern accent again. And then she said President Trump is going to cut back on Social Security and Medicare, a total fabrication. They're right on top of it. So if you sign up, you'll get those quick response emails, one right after the other. Now, Eric in the chat room says, Jake, thanks. You had a good informing week Keep bringing it. Well, thank you, Eric. Hate to think what'll happen. Hate to think what would happen if I didn't have a good informing week. But I'm already booking guests for Monday, and it'll be a very interesting show indeed. A couple of things we're going to keep an eye on: the planning of this January 6, 2025 directive from the Department of Homeland Security telling us we cannot protest in our own city in front of our own building that we pay for, we own. And I got a problem with that, and I just, well, again, we're gonna stay on this story. I guarantee you that. Now, Vladimir Putin has threatened war with the United States and the UK. Why? We are planning on providing increased missile armaments to Ukraine, and that is a direct threat to Vladimir Putin. He's now threatening war against the UK and the United States. President Trump has warned repeatedly about the outbreak of World War III could come at any time. My friends, this is really serious stuff. I mean, there is nothing wrong with providing humanitarian aid to the poor, war-ravaged people of Ukraine, but this is crazy. To provide missiles that are going to hit inside Russia from Ukraine, I just absolutely crazy. All it's going to do is cause more or further escalation, in my opinion. All right, let's see here, Bob and Lewes. Jake, please find at least one accurate poll to share with us. Are there any out there? Bob, again, I would not pay attention to the polls, only, and as I said repeatedly, only the trends. And if you take a look at the trends before the debate and after the debate, I'm not even sure I trust those either. We should not pay attention to polls. I think those focus groups are certainly the ones that were done during the debate Tuesday night, and they were all supportive of President Trump. Most of those in the focus groups and the town halls, they went with Trump. Even Reuters, that left-wing commie news outlet based in Europe, but they have operations here, had 10 people. 6 of the 10 undecided went with Donald Trump. 2 went with General Secretary Harris. 1, as I mentioned, still brain dead, has no idea what they're doing. But that's what you'll see repeatedly. These focus groups, my friends, have, well, let's put it this way. They've been minorities, people not from the cities. These are people that America has forgotten, or both political parties, except for President Trump, has forgotten. Remember, Trump is all about the forgotten American, the middle class. That's what he's about. And anytime any of those are asked about who they support Donald Trump. Let's see. Eric asked, Bob, do you have checked the Trafalgar Group? Now remember, Eric, the Trafalgar Group, I believe, was only one of 2 polling companies, or pollsters, I should say, that's more appropriate, that got the 2016 election correct. And of course, ever since then, Hillary Rotten Clinton has been running around the world saying that the 2016 election was stolen from her. But President Trump's not allowed to talk about the 2020 election. Again, there's different standards depending on who's talking. But again, I look forward to being back on Monday morning. Let me one other thing that I wanted to look up here for you. Just give me, and this is how a radio show is produced, and this is why I wanted to get this information out. So let me see. Just give me a moment here. Here it is. Because there's one guest that's coming on Monday. Then let's see here. All right, here we go. Yeah, there it is. On Monday, Garrett Ziegler, who has been sued by Hunter Biden over the laptop scandal. Garrett Ziegler, who is a former member of the Trump administration. He actually worked under Peter Navarro in the Trump trade office. Garrett Ziegler and Tyler Nixon, attorney Tyler Nixon, going to be joining us on Monday to talk about the lawsuit that Hunter Biden has filed against Garrett Ziegler of Marco Polo. That ought to be a very interesting discussion. We'll have that. You know what? We've got a couple of minutes. Let's pop up a phone call or two and see what you have to say. Normally we don't do this on Fridays, but you know what? We've got some time, and we can get. We've got all our producers. Their voices have been heard this morning in the chat room and on questions. And let's get to a phone call. That phone call just dropped off. All right, let's get to another one. And that phone call has dropped off. So this is what happens. So I just punched up another one. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Yeah. So, earlier you're talking about Russia threatening war with the UK and us.
Yes.
Is there anything written? Is there anything written in the laws that if we're at war, we can currently not hold an election?
Yes, there is. Can elections be canceled because we're under martial law? Yes, they can.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you. Great show today.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's great. Okay, let's go to, and there have been those who have claimed that the Biden regime was going to have martial law in this country anyway to try to stop the election. They've had how many coups now? I mean, they're getting really good. I've said this in the monologue. They're getting really good at coups, aren't they? Let's go to our next caller on the Meineke Doing Car Care Right Talk lines. It's 5 minutes now before the hour. Go ahead.
Good morning. I think Trump should flip the switch or the narrative about the debate and challenge her again and say that he will do it in an open forum with Hannity and some female reporter.
She doesn't go on. She doesn't do anything with conservative media. I agree with you. He should have said, "Okay, I'll meet you on. I'll see you on Newsmax. I'll see you on Newsmax." She's never going to go along with that anyway.
Of course, but at least the narrative is flipped because they're saying he's running away from her. She won. I mean, I watched part of it, and it was very, I tried to hold down my lunch, actually, with dinner. So the thing is, he has to re-challenge her to a debate, which, of course, she will deny, and that way the narrative that they are running rampant with is that he's a coward, and he needs to flip that switch and turn it on her because she did, hit him with talking points and, his hot button.
But none of it stuck.
Well.
None of it stuck. She got 0 votes from it. If she did, she got a couple. President Trump benefited more. Voters overwhelmingly said, he's pretty resolute in his positions, and we weren't doing better 4 years ago, so I'm staying with Trump. It didn't help her. Everything, all the snarky looks and everything, whether she had a hearing device, earrings or not, who knows, but it didn't help her. She got no benefit, no bump out of it at all.
Okay.
All right, I'm sorry. All right, let's go to our next caller. Meineke Doing Car Care Right Talk lines. Go ahead.
Are you up for some up for some criticism?
Am I up for criticism?
Yes.
No, because I'm perfect in every way. No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So when you do salute to troops, you can listen to yesterday's, which was, I believe, Captain McCool.
Yes.
And I've heard you do this more than once with other people. You don't pronounce their name the same throughout. You called him McCall right after you had just called him the previous sentence McCool. And they deserve a little better. So if you could listen to them, edit them a little better, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Well, thank you. I do them at about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I guess I'm not perfect. I must have missed that. But thank you for bringing that. Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
You do it every once in a while, so and I really love what you're doing, but I just thought I'd point it out.
Well, thank you for pointing it out. That's very kind. Thank you. Let's go to our next caller on the Meineke Doing Car Care Right Talk lines. You're on the air.
Hello, Mr. Smith.
Yes, go ahead, Commander Tom.
Okay, yeah, what do you call it? Great show as usual. The other thing I was going to bring up, and I like that, and I think the Trump committee, campaign committee is basically losing it. 10 days ago, Putin came on and was interviewed, and he was asked, who does he support? He said, Harris. And they've got that. And why the heck the Trump campaign doesn't keep on running that, and also the people in the Senate and the House keep on running it and bring it up. There's no Russian collusion except on the side of the Democrats.
All right, Commander, I've got to run. Thank you. We've got to bring this show to a close. That's it for the digital interactive version of Friday's Your News Talk America. We'll be back at it again on Monday. I'll do my best to pronounce those names as consistently as possible. But remember, you have a voice. Make sure your voice is heard loud and clear. Millie, you're home.
The Talk of Delmarva is 92.7 WGMD.